Hey guys, welcome back to another week of Weekly Coldplay. My name is Monica.
My name is Daniel.
And we are a weekly podcast all about...
You guessed it.
Pansexual pride.
Hell yeah.
Slay.
Neither of us are pansexual.
Yeah.
But we support them.
Slay. Ally. So this week, kind of a lull of a week of in Coldplay news, other than they're back on tour.
Yeah, but not even doing anything interesting on tour.
Yeah. I mean, that we know of. I haven't been really keeping up right now.
I haven't either. I mean, work's been busy and...
Yeah, I haven't been finding any good, live streams or anything. Because, anytime I try to join, the live stream's already done.
Yeah, and you were off during the first show. I was not. I had to work, so I was just getting whatever updates you gave me.
Well, I only tried, 2 live streams, and then they didn't work, and then I gave up and fell asleep. So...
That's so real. But, I mean, we have the set list to go off of, so we know they're not playing anything interesting.
Yeah, that's true. But, I still like to hear
Chris's
yapping. Yeah, I like to see what's going on in his life.
What he's going on about.
Yeah, exactly.
Who knows?
This week, we were talking about Camden. It was a little documentary show that came out on Disney Plus and Hulu last year. I forgot when, but it came out last year for sure. So we're talking about episode 1, which features
Christine Mary Martin.
Yeah. And then, of course, we have other news, tour news, and then charity. So, as I always say, let's get right into it. Camden, episode 1. Here's a quote. I actually don't know who said this. Was it Chris that said this?
Yeah, most of the quotes are Chris. A few of them aren't.
Okay. So, Chris had said, Camden just seemed like the center of all things. Which is cool, because, if you don't know what Camden is, we'll give a little brief synopsis. Not a synopsis, of just a general idea of what Camden is. It's a place in England.
In London.
In London. Okay, I wasn't sure if it was, in London or, just outside London.
Oh, I'm not sure either. I thought it was in London, but now that you're not sure, I'm not sure.
Oh, I think it's just outside London. Oh, my God, all the UK listeners are gonna
It's around the London area.
Listen, if you had told me where, spring is in relation to Houston, then...
Yeah.
Exactly. Anyway, this is so stupid. But anyway, so Camden's the place, and there's a huge music scene in Camden. A lot of greats, a lot of, music artists that we know and love that came out of the UK started playing in Camden first. That's where a lot of scouts went to go scout for new acts and new talent. And they would play in these really small bars. It's like the strip of bars in music venues that are literally the size of a closet that these now big bands would first play in. So that is a generalized idea of what Camden is.
Yeah, and this documentary, it's going over a lot of different people who got their start there and what the scene was like. This episode wasn't just about Coldplay. We'll just talk about the Coldplay parts. But it also had Dua Lipa, Little Sims,
that one not ska band, but...
yeah, and then...
James?
James isn't in the episode.
Well, yeah, but they were talked about.
By Coldplay. And then there was that one girl who's dead and had a mole.
Oh my God, Amy Winehouse.
Yeah, Amy Winehouse.
My girl. Oh my God, what was that? That's my girl. Okay.
You forgot about her too.
Yeah, until you mentioned her.
I am censoring Chris's language so that I can, keep this not from being an explicit episode. But Camden was sort of a rough place, but it was full of music. He called it a crucible of acceptance.
A little bit backstory of Chris Martin, if you didn't know. Chris grew up in the countryside 3 hours from London. And so for him, London was like the Emerald City. One short day in the Emerald City. Oh, I'm singing the Broadway version. You're singing the movie version. Wow. Okay.
Generational difference.
Yeah, exactly. And the first band that Chris has ever loved was James, which we just talked about, and they were from Manchester. Chris had gotten into James's secret show in Dingwalls in 1997. It was the first time that he saw a band he loved live. Yeah, I can always like, I love like thinking back and thinking of, your very first concert. I think mine was Boyz II Men at the rodeo. I feel like that's like the one I remember very distinctly. But seeing the first thing that I ever loved live might have been. Ooh, it might have. I'm trying to think the timeline of things for me. It might have been either Drew Seeley or the Jonas Brothers. And I saw the Jonas Brothers at like, okay, if you're from the Houston area, but like in Galveston, there's a place called Moody Gardens. They played there, and yeah, it was just like, if you're from the area, just thinking about like, oh, the Jonas Brothers were at Moody Gardens, it's kind of a wild. It's a wild statement.
I remember the first time I saw a band I loved.
Yeah.
It was a very small band called Bug Hunter. And nowadays, Bug Hunter does co-headlining tours with my favorite band. And they sell out much larger venues. But at this time, it was larger than when he first started and was playing in backyards for like 10 people. But we were in a church that he had rented out, and there were maybe 50 of us in the audience.
Oh, wow.
And I got a guitar pick.
That's
I got
so
to
cool.
meet him. I mean, I still get to meet him at all the shows.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's all. I was there with a friend who did not know any of the music. So back in 2022, I saw this concert, and then he live debuted a song there that got released last year.
Oh, cool. Wow.
Yeah.
It was a whole 2 years.
Yeah. It was like the lead single off the new album that just came out. After he saw James in Dingwallace, Chris realized this being working in a band, this is achievable if you work really hard and the right twists of fate happen. What he realized, musicians aren't from Mars.
Yeah.
They come from a place, and he said to himself, I'm going to do that job. And he did it.
Yeah, and
he worked really
right
hard.
Now,
and
actually,
right twists of
as
fate
we
happened.
speak, they're doing that job right now.
Right this very second.
So Chris had moved to Camden with Johnny. Aww.
Transsexual.
He said, if you felt you had something artistic in you, you would be accepted there in Camden. Obviously. The scene there, as we said, was pubs. If you could bring in 10 people, you could play at a pub. Which, obviously doesn't seem like a lot, but if you're starting out as a band, I feel like that might be
I mean,
a great,
so you have
achievement.
Chris's parents,
Yeah.
Will's mom, Johnny's parents,
Just
Guy's
everyone's.
parents.
I mean, it was literally all their friends from college that would just leave after the first song.
Camden was like a rocket launch pad for artists' careers. That's how Chris described it. And it is very interesting to think about how it was that way. And there really aren't things like that now anymore.
Yeah.
We've touched on this before here about how different it is for new artists trying to get into the scene now than it was in those days in Camden.
Yeah. In 1998, they played the Dublin Castle, and it was their first night called Coldplay. Obviously, we're not counting the night that they were called Starfish and Laurel Tree.
Well, yeah, it wasn't their first concert.
Yeah.
It was their first concert called Coldplay.
The Coldplay.
The Coldplay. A child's reflection. Look, don't tell any librarians, but I do plan on stealing that book from a UK university one day.
Don't tell anybody, but I'm going to put this on a worldwide podcast.
They were supposed to share the drum kit with the headliner at the Dublin Castle, but the headliner got upset over some payment thing, and they left at 7. And then Coldplay didn't have a drum kit, so what were they to do? Well, Will Champion, I love him, he started stamping on the stage to be the bass drum, and it was very cool, and Chris said that it was there that he realized the four of them were going to stay together.
And out of all the songs for them to play in that clip, it was Ode to Deodorant.
Hell yeah.
Amazing.
Monica's favorite.
Here's an ode to deodorant. We got to do like a ode to deodorant,
Fan lyric video.
No, yeah, sure, a fan lyric video. Probably for April Fools. That'd be really great. No, but a little count of how many times I just sing that song on the podcast. I love that song.
We're at 2 now.
I thought it was 3.
Maybe it's 3.
It's a genuinely good song, okay?
No one's attacking you.
No, well, I don't know. In case I'm being attacked right now, it's a good song, okay?
Chris, again talking about Camden, said, I get this wave of warmth and gratitude because they gave everyone a shot.
By the way, I guess we will kind of preface the rest of this insert here. But we had planned on doing this Camden episode last year when we thought that nothing was going on, and we're like, okay, well, here's like this random thing that came out, and then like all My Love stuff just started flooding in, so
And
we had
Karate Kid.
Yeah, Karate Kid. So we just had to put like a major pause on this. So this is like the notes that we had written on here were like from literally like last year. So forgive us if we're right or wrong, whatever. Go watch the episode for yourself and see for yourself. Yeah, a quote from someone. Possibly worked at the Dublin Castle. Again, these notes are like from forever ago. Wherever around the world, Coldplay will come on. Which I guess is true now. They're in Abu Dhabi. They're on right now.
Right, but I think like just on the people know Coldplay.
Yes, yeah.
Whether or not they know Coldplay.
Yeah, no.
The amount of people who I'll say like, oh, I like Coldplay. They're like, oh, I don't really know them, and then I'll play Yellow or Viva La Vida, and they're like, oh, okay, I know Coldplay.
Yeah. They're a household name without you even realizing it. Yeah.
Their songs are just so classic.
Yeah. It's like, it's almost like they're the anti one-hit wonder, because you think that Yellow would have just been it, but then they just kept writing hits after hits after hits.
This is why I keep saying I think Chris made a deal with the devil.
Oh my god. At a crossroads in Camden, probably.
He probably lives there. After their very first gig, Chris thought, all right, this is allowed. And he said it felt like the tide coming in.
A scout saw them at the Bowling Gate in 1999. There were always rumors about scouts at shows, but they never knew if it was real or not. Turns out it was. Scouts were young to middle-aged white men doing coke and drinking beer in cargo pants and dark green anoraks. Which is just really funny to me.
Yeah, good for them. There is a clip used in the documentary where it's Shiver, but with the original Shiver ending.
Yeah.
I need to go back and listen to that again.
Yeah, it's so good. God, I cannot wait until Alphabetica to see if we get any of like this old stuff. Or if we actually get like Ode to Deodorant on actual CD or whatever.
What else would the O be for?
I don't know. I mean, maybe.
We know A.
Yeah.
We know A.
Yeah.
Yeah. What else do we know? What else are they? We don't need to speculate about Alphabetica right now.
The race.
Oh yeah, that's R for sure.
Yeah. Or T for the. I don't know.
I'll throw some hands.
So the progression for scouts, what they would do, they would be finding somebody, and then finding and signing somebody, and then finding and signing, and getting a hot record.
Yeah, so it's like finding somebody is okay. Finding and signing someone, that's pretty good. And then if you find someone and sign them and they have a hot record, then you've made it as a scout.
Yeah.
This scout did not sign Coldplay because he was like, oh, they're all right.
Yeah.
But he did say, clearly a very charismatic young man, blessed with a truly remarkable voice, talking about Chris.
I mean, which is fair. They were up there singing about deodorant, so.
But he had a truly remarkable voice.
Yeah.
And he was so charismatic.
They got signed 800 meters from where they played their first show.
Yeah. And they said it felt like at that point they had climbed all the ladders there were to climb in Camden.
Mm-hmm. And look at them now. I want them to kind of like go back and like, play in like a really small room and in Camden. I don't know what the scene is like there now, but obviously I've never been and I don't understand the concept of Camden. I mean, I understand the concept, but I don't understand like the size. Yeah, I don't know where it is. I know the size could be right across the street. I don't know where Camden is.
It's like El Dorado.
Except I know where El Dorado is.
I mean, like in the song.
El Dorado.
God, I hate that song. He said a lot of the time what felt like going from a car park to Wembley was actually just going from one small pub to a slightly bigger pub. But he said we'd completed that level.
A scout who had seen them heard Yellow on the radio years later and pulled aside. He was driving and then pulled aside to listen to them. And he said that's absolutely remarkable.
Little Sims was also there. We already mentioned it, but she had a whole bit in this documentary, and it was very exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Dua Lipa walking around Camden with like her hair flowing.
Yes. Has Dua Lipa ever performed with Coldplay?
Yeah.
Really?
I mean, well, I don't know. She's performed with Chris.
Oh, that's cool.
Because like they have that one song, that non-Everglow song. It sounds just like Everglow.
Oh, I think I know what you're talking
Yeah,
about.
it's on my Coldplay playlist.
Yeah.
All right, on to other news.
Let's get right into it.
Coldplay have been ranked number 53 on Billboard's top artist list. This list is based on U.S. chart performance. They're the number 1 British group, number 2 international group, number 3 British act, number 8 international act, and number 8 overall group.
Coldplay's videography on YouTube has earned more than 2.16 billion views in 2024. This was their 5th biggest year on the platform.
New Eliana merch has dropped for her. She's opening for Coldplay for most of 2025. I know that we're seeing her. I'm so excited. So the shirt that she has dropped, it has her name on it as well as Coldplay on it, and then there's like a bunch of moon phases, and it looks amazing, and I need like 50 of them because
I probably will like it. I've read your descriptions of it several times. I still haven't looked at what
oh
it
my
looks
god
like. Normally I would do that while I do news. Also new in the Coldplay shop are Moon Music shoelace bracelets similar to Chris's. They're pink, yellow, and blue and have written on them Coldplay, Love Forever, All Colors, the little symbols, and Moon Music. And if those colors sound familiar, they are indeed the pansexual pride colors.
Slay.
Yeah. Maybe Chris is trying to tell us something.
Good for him. Hell yeah. The Coldplay store now features alternative text. This helps blind fans to see merch by giving them detailed descriptions of products. There is a video example on Michelle's Twitter. Her Twitter is @Xylospheres.
Yeah, we'll link to her example in the description. Phil quote tweeted a BBC News UK article that said, "Price of resale tickets to be capped under plans to tackle touts." I didn't realize people actually wrote headlines like that. I thought that was a bit everyone did.
Here's the thing. I didn't know that touts was another word for resellers. That was a little British word for resellers. It was just very funny to me. I'm like, what are you saying right now?
Phil said, UK ban on ticket resale profiteering will be great news for fans. The permitted cap on ticket resale prices should be no more than 10% above the original price, ideally 0%, as it is in Ireland. From Phil, @Fanfare Alliance.
Yeah. I think that's great. I would love it here in the U.S.
Yeah, it's crazy here.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure. I haven't even taken a look
And in Canada.
Oh, yeah? I mean, I remember whenever we tried to get, I don't know, Toronto? I don't know where we were going to go see him.
It was like in the thousands of dollars, tens of thousands.
Yeah.
For a ticket.
Yeah, and it's just like, why? You know? Like, I don't get it. I don't understand it. If I were to ever sell any of my, if any of my stuff, if I happen to have like a free Infinity ticket, it would just be like, hey, it's just $25 even, because I know I'm going with a fan. You know what I'm saying? Like, why would I price gouge anything. Like, I don't know. It just doesn't make any sense to me. I just want all the fans to go.
I want anyone who wants to go.
Yeah,
for
yeah.
a cheap,
well,
reasonable amount.
Yeah, I mean, that's, that's, as a fan, could just be somebody who has only listened to one song, has maybe even heard the name Chris Martin and hadn't heard anything from Coldplay. I don't care. I just don't want people, I just don't want resellers.
I'm just now imagining this person who's heard the name Chris Martin, never heard Yellow, never heard Viva La Vida, but just based on the name Chris Martin has got to get a ticket to go see Coldplay.
Yeah, why not? Everybody's been talking about this Chris Martin guy. But yeah, that's the news.
That's the news.
Tour updates.
Hell
They're on
yeah.
tour right now as we speak. Right now.
Right this second.
Yeah, they are currently in Abu Dhabi. They performed on the 9th and 11th, 12th, as we speak. And they will also perform on the 14th, which we will cover next week.
And the 12th we'll cover next week.
Yeah. I mean, I could try to pull up some news right now. I can see what
we'll save it.
was.
We don't have enough lined up for next week. We need to pad it out.
Fair enough. But a new thing, finally something new, kind of, on the screens. Before the band comes on, have you ever seen them? There's usually a hashtag of Coldplay, insert hashtag Coldplay, insert whatever city they're in. So it would be hashtag Coldplay Abu Dhabi. For the past few years, it was like Music of the Spheres colors. It was like bluish purple-ish, pinkish hue. But overall, like, there was no, like, art with it. But now they changed it to where the background is now moon music art, and it's specifically like the alternative art for moon music. Like if you got the indie store exclusive cover, like CD cover,
with the extra rainbows.
Yes, that's the one. So yeah, that was really cool. That was exciting. We were like, moon music, finally the tour, moon music of the spheres.
For sure they're gonna play something different.
Yeah. Anyway, what happened in night one?
Alright, so night one, they played the exact same standard set list that we've been having. Songbook was Everglow.
Yeah.
But at least the rotational was Charlie Brown.
Yeah. So a pretty basic set list.
Yeah.
And then night two, hey, Songbook was Trouble. I'll take it.
Yeah, no, I'll take Trouble.
I'll take it. And then the rotational was God Put a Smile Upon Your Face. So yeah, I'm excited to see what it is today. Yeah. And that's it. That's all the tour news we got, all right?
Yeah, and now is the time of the show where, since we have no sponsors, we don't make money off of this, we choose to highlight a different charity every month. And this month, the month of January, we are highlighting Partners in Health. You can find their website at pih.org. The link we will have in our episode description. Today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about one of their programs called PIH Engage. First, I'll go over really quick again what PIH is. Partners in Health tries to provide preferential treatment options to impoverished people for healthcare because they have the radical belief that everyone deserves access to quality healthcare, whether or not they have a lot of money, or whether or not they live in an area with good access to healthcare. So PIH Engage is their way for you to get involved. PIH Engage works with local communities to build the global movement for the universal right to health. It's made up of students and professionals that work together to recruit and train teams of volunteers to mobilize their communities. They campaign, petition, and host events to generate resources, foster discourse, and advocate for policies. You can find, if you have any local teams near you, through their website to get in touch with them and join them if you are interested in doing something tangible. And if there is no team in your area, you can apply to start a new one. They have a form on their site, and they can provide you resources to start a team in your area. Next week, I will get a little bit more into the founding of PIH. They have a little documentary that I'm going to watch and then summarize. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Daniel.
You're welcome.
And that is it for this week. Yeah, not a lot, not a huge week. That's okay. We'll be back next week with more Coldplay news. Hopefully.
Fantastic.
or maybe less Coldplay news.
Oh.
But yeah, thank you for listening. My name is Monica.
My name is still Daniel.
And we are Weekly Coldplay. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Thank you for listening to Weekly Coldplay. For more Coldplay content from us, check us out on Twitter @Weekly Coldplay and Instagram @weekly.coldplay. That is weekly, Coldplay. And if you like what you hear, give us a follow on wherever you're listening to the podcast on. Thank you again, and we'll be back next week with more Coldplay news.